Hello everyone, welcome to another video. So in this video we're going to go through some of the examples for curve sketching, quadratic curve sketching, and this will be more of the examination type of question. So it's still sketching fundamentally, just that they ask it in different ways. So I have a few questions here. I'm not going to go through all. Some of them I think is quite easy. I'm just going to go through the more difficult ones. So like question 3 for example, I'll consider this as slightly more difficult. So what you do is they ask you to sketch this graph. So this is actually the double bracket form, just that when it's written like that, some people might not realize it. So see, I've written it in a different way. Instead of just x, it is actually x minus 0 times x minus 2. So with this, you know that we are cutting the x-axis at 0 and 2, and then from there you can figure out the rest. Okay, so I think once you realize this, sketching this at this point hopefully shouldn't be too much of a problem. Okay, so this is the actual graph. You cut 0, you cut 2, so by common sense the middle point is 1, so that's where the line of symmetry is, and so on and so forth. Okay, then the next thing that they ask you to do is to state the minimum point of the curve, same curve, so it's basically here. So you need to sub your 1 into the curve, so that will be 1 times 1 minus 2. So I did the working here, so it's minus 1, so it's here. So the point, this is 1 comma minus 1. Okay, so after that, I think the C is the one that's difficult. So they ask you to sketch, sure, and then they ask you the range of value of P where y equal P would intersect this same graph exactly 2 times. So the first question is, of course you have the graph already, right? You have the curve done already. What is this? They already said the line, so this is clearly going to be a straight line. But how does this line look like? So y equal to P is just y equal to some number, let's say 2, for example. So this is an example where when P is equal to 2, we need to draw y equal to 2. So this is where your Sec 2 knowledge must come in. So the line y equal to 2 is basically a single horizontal straight line that cuts 2. So y equal to P is just any horizontal line that cuts the y-axis at whatever number you need it to be. So if I just do an example, maybe I use a ruler, is easier. So I just do here, horizontal line here. How many times does this line cut the graph? Twice, because it cuts here and here. So as P changes, the line is basically just moving up and down, right? So let's say this is 2, this is 3, this is 4, this is 5, this is 6, this is 7. So this is 2, 1, 0, -1, or whatever. It's just a matter of going up and down. So the question is, when does the graph and the line not cut twice? You see, cut twice, cut twice, cut twice, all the way cut twice until here. The crucial point at the minimum point, does it cut twice? No, it cut once. And if you go down further, does it cut? No, it cuts 0 times. And what does the question want? I want it twice. So basically, at -1, it cuts once. Anything more than -1, it cuts twice, and that's the answer. And so you see that the answer, we don't even have to do any working. As long as P is more than -1, it's going to be above here, and it's going to cut twice. So, and of course, they ask you to explain. Sure. So I mean, my attempt to explain will be, when P is -1, it cuts once. When P is more than, it cuts twice. And P is less than -1, it doesn't cut at all. But this line is pretty important because first state that y equal to P is equal to a horizontal straight line. And best, you can just draw a sample here just to show that you truly understand. So once you draw that line, even when the explanation is not so good, I think it's fine. Okay, so this is one example of a slightly more difficult question. The other difficult question will be here. So in most cases, when somebody sees this for the first time, most probably they can't do it because they give you a graph. There's a P and Q unknown numbers there, and then they give you the graph. This is the actual graph of this, and they ask you what is P and Q, and they give you 2 points. So actually, if you have done it before, this is not difficult, because when you have an equation with 2 unknowns, you need to form 2 equations. So how do you form the equations? When this point A is on the graph, if you sub these 2 values in, the equation of the graph will be satisfied. So that means it will be a valid equation. So over here is x is negative 1.5, y is 0. For this point, x is 4, y is 0. So what you see that I sub it into the curve. So I sub this negative 1.5 and y equals 0, and I sub it here, and I get this. I adjust a little bit, I get p, and this is my equation 1. So I do the same with this point. I sub here, I sub into 2, and so I got 2 equations. I'm just going to sub this into this substitution method, and then you realize that I solve for q. Once I get q, I can sub into either one to get the other value of p. So this 2 is the answer. So this requires understanding of how graph and how points on the graph mean, what they mean and what they do. Yeah, so these are the difficult questions. So with this, we come to the end of the chapter. It's a very long chapter. This will be probably the longest chapter in your life. So you can see that we have 4 homeworks for different parts of the homework for the chapter, and most importantly, we have all the key skills here. Okay, so you see that these 5 things are the most important 5 things that you must know, because these are the absolute core of the chapter. So if you need to just learn 5 things, these are the 5 things you learn, and all the QR codes are there. That's already in the notes in the front. Okay, so hope you've learned something. Thank you and bye bye.